Hi, everybody. My name is Jimmy Knight. I'm the director of the Cothran Center for Career Readiness here at Mars Hill University, and welcome to another session of where we get to talk to recent grads about what they've been doing out in the world of work. This is one of the more exciting things that I get to do because we get to hear straight from people who have gone through the process of merging their way into the work life, and we get to learn about them and from them. So today's guest is Venicka Wardlaw, and she is from Lincolnton, North Carolina originally. She was a graduate of Mars Hill back in 2018, a major in sociology, and she now lives in Fort Worth, Texas, and works for a company by the name of Gartner. Now, when I first met Venicka, she was Venicka Gertman, and so she has since gotten married, and that's always big news. But what we want to know today, Venicka, if you could take us through things that have happened since graduation. You have a very interesting background and a very interesting trajectory of exploration, and I want people to hear about that. So take it away.
Yeah, thank you for that nice tee up of me there. Since finishing at Mars Hill, I have been everywhere, it feels like. I had a few ideas when I had finished school of where my career path was going to go. Actually, when I first finished, or prior to finishing school, I accepted a position with AmeriCorps. And so if you're not familiar, you probably have heard of the Peace Corps. AmeriCorps is designed to keep individuals here in the state and investing back in the communities here in the United States. Not only was I blessed to do this, but I was very lucky to stay where I was. I was located in Asheville, North Carolina at a early learning center. And so my position was to be a recruiting coordinator, making sure that the volunteers that we had volunteers for open positions, that we had donations coming in. Like I was pretty much sourcing the things that the center needed. I was responsible for sourcing those things and getting that back to the center into their rightful place. Um, I really enjoyed that, but one of the things is that not only is it designed for you to invest into the community, it's also designed for you to kind of to to be one with the community. So with that said, I quickly realized like in order for me to pay my bills, I'm going to need another job to go along with this. This is great work. I really am passionate about it, but it's just not enough for a 21-year-old who just finished school, you know? So I had that as my full-time job. Then I had got a part-time job working with individuals who had brain injuries. And so my responsibility was in taking them out on different trips, being involved in their development, helping them with things that they needed to work on day over day. And then I had another position at a group home in which I was a residential behavioral counselor. And so that was at night. So three jobs, two of them full time. The early learning center was during the day, the normal work hours, the part time job ever so often throughout the week, and then the group home was full time at night. Um, you can imagine I didn't sleep. And when we don't sleep or really eat often, our bodies start to break down. So, um, quickly got burnt out there. I mean, I almost set myself up for failure, right? But the mindset that I had was I just paid all of this money for a degree in sociology. I've told myself that my passion is nonprofit work and community work. So what I'm going to do is make the most of all of that money I just invested into a degree, and I'm going to do what I thought I went to school for, right? Um and then I had this realization that okay, there's no way that I'm going to be able to. I'm paying my bills, but I'm not even home to enjoy the biggest bill of all, rent. I'm not even home to enjoy the place that I'm paying for, right? I need to do something that's going to provide the work life balance that I'm looking for. Um, so I said, you know what, I'm cutting ties there. Not only that, because I'm so passionate about the work that I was doing, I knew that I didn't want to be one of those people that stayed in it because, oh, this pays my bills, and then I'm out of love with the work, and therefore providing a disservice to the people that I'm working with or for. Was that was super important to me. So I would have rather cut ties when I started to feel burnt out. So I left nonprofit, and I stumbled upon a admin assistant job. I was like, okay, I can do this. I had a work study in college that was very similar. So I was very happy to take on that position. Quickly got thrown into another job there. One of the girls that I was working with decided to go back to school. And when she decided to go back to school, they had a sales consultant position open that they needed to be filled. And they were like, you'd be perfect for this. And I'm like, really? Because I've never done this before, but okay.
Never know
And
till
I
you
got,
try.
yeah, thrown into it. And what I realized, especially because this was a smaller company, well, one, working in nonprofits, I was quick to be agile, right? Which is a skill set that you're going to need for any job. So being able to wear multiple hats, that was something that was required of me because I quickly went from admin assistant to now I'm in sales consultant. But that being able to move in that direction opened up so many doors for me. I remember when I first got into sales, I was like, there's no way that I'm ever going to progress here. There were so many dials that I had to do. Like anybody that's been in sales knows it's not for the weak. I had so many dials. It was a startup company. They had so many requests of me that if you would have told me today I would have been a sales manager, I would have laughed in your face because there's no way I would have thought that I would have even made it a day in sales. But then what happened from there, I went on a trip with some friends from Mars Hill, actually, and we went out to Austin, Texas, just a random vacation. Little small town me, fell in love with Texas. I love that it was like land of opportunity out here. I mean, you had the food trucks making money, you had the big corporations making money, and it just, I was so blown away. Um, when I say a little small town girl in a big city, I kept looking up and I'm seeing companies like Google and Hulu, and I'm like, I'm gonna work for these big corporations. Before I left Texas, I was telling my friends, I'm moving to Texas and I'm gonna work a big corporate job. And they're like, okay. I came back to work telling the people that I work with, like, yeah, I'm gonna move to Texas, I'm gonna work a big corporate job, no plans, no way on how. And it's crazy how things ended up happening. So that was 2019. Go into 2020, of course, the pandemic happened. But my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, was doing college coaching. And he was also looking for another position and ended up getting a position out here in Texas. So it just worked itself out. I was like, I had been saying I was moving with no plans. So here comes the plans that just fell in my lap. And we packed up in the middle of the pandemic and moved out here. So everything happened in March. We moved in July of 2020. So dead smack in the middle of the craziness, right? And I was still working my job from North Carolina, the sales consultant job, but I was working virtually here in Texas. That job started to burn me out. I started to feel so burnt out. And not only did I feel burnt out, I started to feel like, is something wrong with me? Because I'm done with school. I'm an adult now. Like, James, I'm a real adult, okay? I felt like I'm a real adult now. I should be able to keep a job. Like, why do I feel burnt out? I couldn't understand how parents and the adults before me had worked in for jobs, companies, whatever, for like 20 plus years and went and did work every single day. I was like, what is so what's so hard about it that I'm not seeming to get? And that burnt out ended up leaving me. I randomly just up and quit my job one day. I was like, you know what? My mental health matters. And that's another thing too. I'm proud of myself for that. Something I beat myself up for. I'm actually very proud of myself of now for choosing myself and choosing my mental health. I was like, this isn't good for me. I have to leave. Up and quit my job. But instead of I didn't just lay around or anything. I knew I was done with companies for a while. I needed a break. I went straight from school to work, right? No break in between. I just needed some time. So what I did was I invested that time into my own business. I started working, I started my own vending machine business and a cleaning service. So I would clean offices, and then I had my vending machines in different locations as well too,
Hmm.
that was providing income. So I didn't work for quite a few months. So from March of 2021 till August of 2021. And so I didn't work that whole time. And so August rolls around. I had put in a few applications here and there throughout that time period, but I wasn't really stressing it. And there wasn't a lot of job hiring going on given the everything that was going on anyways. But Gartner, the company that I work for now, actually ended up recruiting me. They saw my LinkedIn, and so that's another piece of advice I would say: definitely make a LinkedIn.
Thank you.
Um, they saw my LinkedIn, and they reached out to me, set up some interview time. The way I felt about it at the time was, if it works out, cool. If not, cool. Like I'm figuring this thing out right now. And it actually ended up working out. So what they did was they brought me through their sales development program, which is designed to develop sales talent, people, early career talent that wants to go into sales, but it's actually going to invest the time into developing those critical skills that you need in order to be successful in the career. When I went in, I knew I didn't want to continue my career to be hands-on in sales, as far as like I'm being the individual contributor. I knew I didn't want that. I actually by that point had made up my mind that I would like to do some sort of management. So I came in knowing where I wanted my career to go. Um, and so it's full circle, because now I manage a team of people who are going through the same process that I went through with the company. Our company has 3 different levels. And so I manage a team of people who can be within any of those levels that are looking to progress out of, from a sales development representative on into something like an account executive, and they get to progress throughout sales. So that's where I've been. Like I said, a little bit of everywhere, right?
Yeah, but that's such an awesome progression, though. Um, and it's such an awesome progression of discovery, not only about your jobs and opportunities, but about yourself, which is, just really crucial. Um, when I'm when I'm coaching students who are asking questions about getting ready for interviews, um, you mentioned the whole process of going through the interviews and being recruited and things along those lines. Uh, a lot of questions that I get, people know that they have to start something, but they don't know exactly how. And I try to demystify that as much as possible. And so I would love to hear from you, someone who's just recently done it and coaching people to do it on a regular basis. Um, what are your pro tips for getting ready for interviews?
Yeah. Yeah. Getting interview ready. Number one, you want to know the company that you're interviewing for, right? And I say that because we're in a day and time of like, if your end goal is just to get a job, you're applying. Sometimes companies are reaching out to you and you didn't even remember that you applied to them, right?
Yeah.
So get to know the company a little bit. And this doesn't take a lot of time. Go on their company website, go to their About You page, and learn a little bit more about what it is that they do, because they're going to ask you a question like, why this company? For example, I work at Gartner. So why Gartner? And then specifically, what role you're going into? Why sales? Have a compelling answer ready to go. For me, I'm one of those people that if I don't have something written out, I tend to feel like I'm just rambling. So it's okay to have something well written out. You might not even leverage that, but having something well written out allows you to take what's in your brain, those thoughts, and write it out so that when that question does come out, you have something to leverage. So I would definitely start with their About You page and learning a little bit more about the company for when that question comes up. But then now this is where you dig into yourself and you start thinking about you a little bit. Um, think about the skill sets that you really have. most companies are looking for quick learners. When's the time that you had to learn something really quick? And what did you do with that, right? How did you go about learning it? Speak to the failures, but then speak to the success that you ended up having. You fell down. How did you go about getting back up?
Mhm.
Um, willingness that also ties into the willingness to learn, right? Companies are looking for quick learners, willingness to learn. Um, a, another thing is like why this career path, right? So being able to speak to why this, and don't ever doubt any skill sets that you've had, especially if you're coming straight out of college. You're like, well, I've never even done this career before. Don't doubt yourself. Take the things that you've done. Every skill is transferable, right? Be
Exactly.
able to
Thank you.
speak to those skills. Yeah, because really what people are looking for is for you to be agile. I went from nonprofit work to sales, but where I was able to draw a quick connection is I have to be agile. There's going to be times where I have to wear multiple hats. That didn't end because I stopped working in nonprofit work. Um, so, like being able to speak to your skill sets, tee those up, dress those up, why the company. And then I think a big thing too is we talk so much about going in and selling ourselves into an interview, but having compelling questions to get to know the company because you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. And that's why I think it's good
Very
to
good.
know. Yeah, I think it's good to know a little bit more about them, not just for the sake of why do you want to work at this company, but you want to know things like how do you treat your people, right? Like want to learn things about their EVPs, what are their benefits offerings, and this is something super crazy to think about when you're just finishing school, but that's what led me to the burnout. I was focused on the money. You're going to pay me this? Cool, I'll do it. I didn't have any clue that, oh, my PTO days is only 5 and I might need a few more than 5 days,
Right, right.
Um, how do you, I don't want to be in this role forever. Do you care about career mobility? What does that look like?
Mhm.
What does a successful person in this role look like? And what does it take for them to progress into another role, right? So just,
Fantastic question. Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
those are the type of questions that I would say come ready to answer. And like I said, key tip, write those things out before you actually go into the interview so that your thoughts are well put together before going in. But yeah, that's a little piece of advice. I
Yeah.
think one last thing that
Oh,
popped
no.
up in my head um, as well too is again the LinkedIn part, because before you can even get to the interview, making sure that you have a strong LinkedIn, right? Put a nice profile picture, put the things that you've been doing on LinkedIn. And then when you get to the searching for the job part, of course you can search on LinkedIn for jobs the traditional way, but something else to do is we're in a day and time where people are saying I am hiring for X on LinkedIn. Put that in your search bar. I am hiring for, and then what's the position that you're looking to go into, right? So that you can quickly identify hiring managers that are hiring for that position and put a nice, well written message together to message them on LinkedIn. Hey, James, I saw your post about your hiring for a position at Mars Hill University. I'm so interested. And then, like go in, provide a few more details if you'd like to, discuss further, provide your email and so on. But don't be afraid to put yourself out there. That's my last
Absolutely.
tidbit.
Very, very good. Y'all, you just got a master's class on how to use LinkedIn, and I didn't even expect that. So, hallelujah. It's awesome. That's just awesome. So, I'm we're going to wrap things up here just real quickly, but I was curious to know one of my favorite two questions to ask people is, was there any particular thing at Mars Hill that sticks in your mind? It could be an event, it could be a class, a professor, um, any particular thing that rings a bell with you that you remember at Mars Hill as a student that you carry with you on a daily basis, something that helped you prepare for going into work every day.
Oh my gosh. I wish I could narrow it down to one thing, James. I would say the people itself, the people that I got to connect with, right? Not, I wouldn't say one event, but I was very blessed to meet somebody like James who poured so much into me. Like, and I mean just little interactions. I never did your work study. Like if you think about it, we should have never really like met each other essentially, but we would see each other in crossing, like at the quad and whatnot. We would see each other, and so I wouldn't be afraid to speak. James wouldn't be afraid to speak to me, and you always poured time and energy into me, and little valuable things that you would share with me, that my professors would share with me. I spent a lot of time with Stephanie McCleskey and the chaplain, and I talked to her a lot. So little things that was said to me by people like Dr. Pai, who's the psychology professor, is like, you can do hard things. Oh my gosh. To this day, lives with me. I can do hard things.
There you go.
Um, that's something major. And then I think if I had to think back to events, I really did appreciate SOAR. I'm kind of far removed. Is it still called that?
Um, it's something different now, but yes,
Okay.
yeah, we
I
still have
really,
something very similar to that.
okay, or maybe Slam was,
Slam. Yes, we still
yes,
do slam.
okay.
Yes.
I'm, see, don't get old. But Slam, I really do appreciate, I would appreciate those events too, because they would bring in guest speakers,
Hmm.
and there's people who's sharing different parts of their life. And that's the thing, just understanding that we can learn from all people. But one thing I loved about Mars Hill is we are a liberal arts university. So whatever you go to school for, at the end of the day, I think what Mars Hill really designed us to do is be able to take an education, regardless of what it was specific in, be able to take that education and apply it to anything that you do in life. And so that would be my key takeaway from Mars Hill, is that
Oh,
I'm not designed to check one box. I have an education that's designed to take, it's designed to move mountains, as we say, right? It's designed to take me anywhere in life. I have social skills, and that is what's going to open doors for me.
I- I'm going to steal that phrase. I'm not designed to check one box. I'm stealing that. Thank
Yours to have.
Wow, that's awesome. So, lastly, do you have any advice for students that might be a first or second year who's trying to figure out, what do I do? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
Anything, any little tidbit of advice that you might give them that you would give yourself if you saw yourself 5, 6 years ago?
Yes. Enjoy the journey. I know this is so cliche. But sometimes you just know the most cliche sayings, they have a lot of meaning behind it.
Wow, yeah.
What you think is stressing you now, it's not going to compare to the real stress that's going to come in life, right? So really just enjoy your journey. Again, there's no right way of going about things. There's no real like right or wrong answers. You might find people who you're comparing yourself to that's like, oh, they're super passionate. They're for example, they already know that they want to be a nurse when they're done with school. They're going through the nursing program. That same person in a few years might be working in a total different field and found out that nursing wasn't for them, right?
Sure.
But so it's okay that if you feel like you don't understand right now, that you don't know right now, essentially you got to give yourself grace. You're 18, 19. You don't have to have it all figured out. Like, enjoy the process. Really breathe a little bit, because the things that college provides you outside of the education itself, things like you're having readily available friendships, right? Being able to go to your professors and spend time with them and them invest in you, that's not always easy to be accessed as you're getting older, right? That community is always going to be there, but it's not the same as you walk out your dorm and you walk right down to your friends. So enjoy that. Yeah, and give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. You're looking at somebody who went from academic performance issues. I mean, literally was so worried about school my entire 4 years. And now I look back and I just wish I took more time to soak it all in.
That's fantastic advice. Listen, I can't thank you enough for taking the
Yeah.
time to talk to me and to talk to all of us and talk to Mars Hill at large, whoever tunes into this on the YouTube channels that we use. This has been great. I've been delighted to catch back up with you on so many levels, and I hope that you will continue to stay in touch with us,
Yes.
and especially the alumni program. There's going to be new things rolling out in the fall, and if you're ever back in the neighborhood and you're coming for a ball game or homecoming, I hope that you will make a beeline up here to the Cothran Center and Day Hall and say hello, because I would love that.
Yes.
So guys, gals, and everybody out there in the classes watching this, I'm going to stop the recording and hope that y'all have a great day. Thanks again to Venicka.
Thank you.